everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra.
I am Mitch, and I am overweight couch potato.
Well, I mean, what? You're walking.
I am walking, but
Even without the boot?
But man, no exercise has really been
Yeah.
not been good for me.
Yeah, I could tell you were chomping at the bit last week when we weren't able to record.
Yeah, because I'm bored.
Yeah.
I think I talked to Rudy, and I think next week I'm supposed to be able to start taking that boot off. I mean, it means it's not healed, but I'm hoping we might start Planet Fitness next week or something.
Walking kind of a... Oh my gosh. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. That was fast.
Excuse me. Walking kind of thing, or?
No, doing like upper body, doing more strength training again, like we were doing at
Gotcha.
Terrence's. It's just, again, I liked going out to Terrence's. It's just so far, and it takes so much time out of my day. Well, what else am I doing anyway? But it's it's a lot of driving.
Sounds like Terrence needs to open a PT Sports Pro West.
Yeah. Or just a gym on this end of town.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to start doing that, and just so I can get out. I'm starting PT again close by, like, so I don't do that, but I do want to get out there and use that zero gravity.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that would be huge. Yeah.
I asked the doctor about it because Terrence told me that, and he, because the zero gravity is really big. And I asked him my last post-op, and he says, if you can put it down to nothing, you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not yet.
Yeah. What was the percentage? Like, what can he take off?
I don't remember. We'll have to have him.
I would imagine
comment on that.
It's close to everything. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
This week we are going to jump into some, what do we say? Training myths.
I think it was titled when you sent me the email of what you had in mind. It was marathon training myths.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's really training myths in general. But
by the way, if you like what you hear and all of that, be sure to like, subscribe, share, do all of that. Share with somebody who either likes running or wants to get into running. We talk about a lot of things. That could be helpful. And if nothing else, it will be maybe some entertainment and funny. You can laugh at us. We definitely...
we don't always talk about running.
No.
We get a lot of rabbit trails. Sometimes we talk about golf.
Yeah, not enough. Not as much as I do it. I was actually in the middle of a round when you showed up today.
I saw that.
I was all right. I was 1 under, so... Well, let's get into today's episode. Yes, we are going to talk about, it is titled Marathon Training Myths, but it is going to be in general running myths because the second portion is going to be more general based. The first few are, I guess they would be training myths because people associate these with marathon running. In order to do a marathon, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. And the first one is run every day.
Which I think is great.
Mitch says, that's a myth?
that you shouldn't run every day. That's a myth. That part's the myth, right?
The myth is run every day.
Oh, I think it's saying you should run every day. The myth is you shouldn't run every day.
No, the myth is you should run every day.
Oh,
the myth, it says running every single day is essential for marathon training. That is the myth. Reality, rest days are crucial for muscle recovery and preventing injuries.
I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it's fun.
No, it is definitely necessary. Running every day is
I don't
fun.
I don't think it's necessary. I think that you don't have to run every day to run a marathon. But
the point of this is
we've proven you can run a marathon without running at all.
Yeah.
Well, you have to run some.
We talked about it.
Without training.
I wouldn't want to do it, I'll tell you that.
I have.
Yeah. Again, I think, man, I think there's a big difference between you who has ran literally hundreds of marathons, and somebody who has never run one,
True.
running a marathon with no training, quote unquote.
Right.
Because the mental side of it is a ton, and you've already got that. All that to say, the myth being you run every day, the reality is you actually need rest days. Now, rest days can look very different.
I had this conversation with a friend at work. They was talking about that. How do you get past, to where it doesn't hurt? I was like, consistency. So that does matter.
Yeah.
So I think the consistency is part of the rest days. How do you get up to be able to run 8 miles at a time and not ruin your day? Well, you gotta run 3 and 4 miles on a regular basis.
Yeah, but you don't have to run every day. 100%.
You don't have to run.
You do not have to.
I think I'm trying to prove that point and saying that's how like just running every day. If you wanted to do that and do a streak or something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
You would have to take all those rest days and you would have to build up to that. But you do have to have some consistency though, at least. So I agree with the myth that says you don't have to run every day and you do have to take rest days, but you have to have some consistency too.
Yeah. This is not saying.
It's not saying
take 3 weeks off.
Be a slacker and run it with no training.
Yeah, no. It is saying that the general myth says, oh my gosh, to run a marathon, you got to run every day. You don't have to. You can do it. You can train on 4 days a week.
You can, or 3 days a week.
3 days a week.
Can you do it too?
That does start to get a little bit. Yeah. One and 2 days a week. I don't know any training programs that will do that.
I know Brad did that.
Yeah. Again, you can do a lot of things.
Should you?
I don't think there's a lot of programs that will say you can do this and not get injured.
Right.
That is a great way to get injured. I think your percentage, your chance of getting injured goes up greatly. Even at 3 days a week, I think that is the bare minimum, I would say.
I'd agree.
And
it depends on your goal.
Yeah. And that rest can look different. And we've talked about that with Terrence a lot too.
Active recovery.
You can go out, jog easy, and it's fine. If you do want to run every day, you can totally do it. You are an example of that. You did that for a long time, and you were healthy during it. It was some of the healthiest years. Now, people are going to get injured, but the same person or a different person can be running 4 days a week, and they can get injured too. It is not necessarily. It's all the other stuff you do with it.
Yep.
Training myth number 2: the more miles, the better.
I agree with that one too. That's a truth, right?
No, that is another myth. Oh. The more miles you run, this is the myth. The more miles you run, the better prepared you'll be for a marathon. The reality is focus on quality over quantity. But
I think it's easy to fall into that. I like more miles again, but we're Americans. We think more is better.
Yeah. That's true.
That's kind of how it goes. I mean, hey, if a 5 mile run is good, isn't that, and that's the
6
training
mile or
plan.
7 mile better?
Isn't that better? Hey, I went for, and we do it. We do it in our running groups. Like, oh, whoops, I accidentally did a 20 miler.
Yeah.
I know people think that sounds crazy, but that happens.
It is interesting if you have a coach or somebody helping train you, if you do that, how they'll tell you, that's not good. You just messed up your training by adding 2 miles. That's not what the plan calls for. Yep. There are specific reasons to certain mileages.
Unless I write their plan.
Well, there's a difference between, let's face it, there's a difference between just a completing of a marathon and focusing on a time.
Right.
Those are two way different things.
Yep. And I'm going to say that a bunch of times. What are your goals?
Yeah. Yep. Common training myth number 3: stick to a rigid schedule. The myth is adhering to a strict training plan is the only way to succeed. Reality, flexibility, and adaptability are essential.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it's one of those things you can't take 2 weeks off, but if you miss
Yeah.
a day, coaches will tell you if you're sick, take the day off.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty simple, but you got to get back on the horse at some point.
Yeah.
So there's two sides to it. It's not an excuse to slack. It's just says, hey, if you go, you could get injured.
Yeah. If you want to run a marathon or whatever, and you think, oh, I can't do it because I have to stick to a super rigid schedule. No, that's not the case. There is some flexibility. As a matter of fact, it's super important to be mentally healthy and prepared to go into a training plan or into a race. Understand that you do have some flex. And a lot of times, especially today, that flexibility is built in. Coaches will build in.
Coach. So that's where people get hung up on these training plans. And I have some friends that do that. And they think that they have to hit every one of those. That's the nice thing about a coach. A coach will adjust it for you. If you can read that training plan, you can adjust it yourself. Hey, I missed this tempo or this, I missed these intervals, these intervals that I was going to do. Hey, why don't I just do that same one next week and just be back a week and just kind of adjust it that way? You can do that. It's not written in blood on that plan.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that flexibility allows you to get to the end goal, and that's running the marathon or whatever race.
And you could still be going for a PR in that case.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Some other general, we're going to shift over to some general running myths. Number 1, stretching prevents injuries.
How many runners do you know that actually do a good stretch anyway?
Not very many. Not very many. And so this, many studies have disproven this myth. Warming up before running is a better way to reduce the risk of injury.
Well, what's interesting too is we've talked to Terrence a lot about that, and it's not about like, he's a big proponent of stretching, but it's not
stretching is good.
It is good. And it's not necessarily, you don't have to wake up an hour early to stretch. He's just saying stretch at some point during the day so you have a normal stretching routine. So there's a lot of myths around, oh, I got to go through this whole routine before I go run.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like he's even said, you would be better off warming up first, then stretching, then running.
Yeah.
So, we're not saying stretching is bad. Stretching is 100% good. It's just that it will not necessarily be the end-all be-all to prevent injuries.
Sure.
Running is bad for your back. Here's another myth. Running can actually be good for your back if you run correctly and don't overexert yourself.
I think, your running form, your posture, I think that's all important.
Yeah. Running, I want to say, anytime you're staying active, it's going to help your overall fitness, your overall body, versus being sedentary and not running, right? So what if your alternative is sitting? That's probably that's not going to do your back any favors either.
No. Well, sitting in an office chair, like I've been sitting in my chair all day.
Yeah.
I don't think my back feels very good from that.
Yeah. Well, and now you're not doing anything.
I'm hunched over a computer. And, chiropractors always telling me, get my screens up in the air so they're, at the right height. And so all of that stuff matters. So, things that you do outside of running is going to help that too.
Think about that. That is something. How often we look down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next one, running ruins your knees.
Man, I get sick of that one when people say that. Don't your knees hurt? No, they don't hurt.
Again, keeping them moving, your body is amazing at what it does to help keep things lubricated, sending the right bodily fluids to the right places to keep that stuff healthy. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I was worried about where you're going with that.
Running can actually be good for your knees if you rest properly, maintain good form, and avoid imbalances. Of course, all of this is within
I'm not saying they never hurt. You can run a marathon and your knees can hurt the next day.
My knees, I don't think my knees have ever hurt. Honestly, I don't think they have.
But
other than through an injury, I should
Right.
say that. Now people are going to be listening and be like, wait, you said your knee's hurting because
you fell.
Well, I fell. It hurt. I actually injured the knee.
You know what, though? If you weren't running, you wouldn't have fell.
Oh, there you go. It does. I guess
So
apparently running does ruin your knees.
So we should never do anything. We should sit in the house, eat potato chips, and watch TV.
Yeah. I think that's what we're getting. So that one, take that off the list. Running actually does ruin your knees. Sorry. Moving on. Strength training makes you slow.
I think I'm just naturally slow.
So that has nothing to do with strength training.
Yeah, maybe if I I think that's definitely because you're strengthening your core is absolutely going to help you run faster.
Yeah. There's a difference between strength training and weightlifting.
Right.
Lifting to like bulk up, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Two very different things. Yeah. Overall strength training can definitely actually increase your speed by benefit or by, working out the whole body. Running barefoot reduces injuries. Here's a fun one.
Man, that's another one that gets me because somebody just sent me a podcast to listen to or watch or whatever.
Yeah, short one I heard.
It was like 2 hours long, and I'm like, who's got that much attention span?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I sent it back to him, and then they started talking about barefoot running. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But the idea was strengthening your feet. We talked about that before, though. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's overlooked.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So there's two things here. Number one is saying running barefoot reduces injuries. Research actually shows that 4-foot running can reduce injuries, but you can run this way in regular running shoes. I think we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast. And when we brought this up, I said, yeah, this started because a cross-country coach, I think it was a college coach, had his runners run barefoot specifically to, I think it was both strengthen, to help strengthen the feet or something like that.
Yeah.
But also work on the 4-foot running as part of a workout, 1 day a week, something like that.
And somebody took that and says, hey, we should all...
cross-country team's running barefoot. we should all do it.
Let's all run barefoot.
Yeah. And then out came...
I mean, I am a big proponent. You do what works for you, right?
Yeah,
so if you're a barefoot
true.
runner, you should barefoot run. I'm fine with that, but I don't think that is it. Just like I don't think huge cushion shoes are it. I think it works for some people.
Yes. There are many different ways to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Find the one that works for you. But just to put a blanket statement on barefoot running reduces injuries, that's not true.
Yeah, that's crap. What if you step on a twig?
There you go.
Rudy's got a good story about that too.
Was he barefoot running?
No. Somebody was doing back in the day that we used to run Monday nights, and one of the friends, I know him, was doing a paper on barefoot running. So he decided to try it out. And it was in the snow, and he ran halfway around the lake, and he shoved his shoes back on. Like, his feet were getting cold or whatever, and there was rocks in there. They were pretty bloody by the end.
Oh my gosh.
So it didn't work out for him so well.
No, so it sounds like it actually causes injury. So we have debunked two of the debunks. Running barefoot reduces injuries. It actually increases injuries is what we're seeing. Sweating little means you are fit. You can burn calories without sweating through walking, light weightlifting, and other activities. And as we've talked about with Terrence a lot and on the podcast a lot, there are so many reasons why you sweat. There's so many different ways different people sweat.
Our body compositions are so different between us anyway. Like you are not a heavy sweater. Not like I can sweat buckets.
Yeah.
And he talked about that too, about, how much you sweat is how much, is the electrolyte, is all that electrolyte loss.
Depends on how much, water you're drinking, how much electrolytes you have, how much you don't have, what are the other things that you're eating throughout the week. There's so much that goes into that. and everybody sweats differently. Like there are literally companies built around send us they have sweat analysis. I mean, that's what Terrence has. Same thing.
Yep.
And the reason behind that is because everybody's different. Has nothing to do with that. So yeah, that's total myth, debunked. And then the last one, the final one, potassium prevents cramping. There is no link between low potassium and cramping. And again, we've talked about this with Terrence too.
Yeah, I but you do, they do have bananas out on the marathon course sometimes, and they, depending on the
it's
where
not
you're
to
at,
say
they do taste good sometimes.
well, and it's not to say that it doesn't help. It's just saying that it's not the end all be all that prevents cramping. It's a balance thing. You have to have a balance of many different things, many different minerals or whatever in your body, the chemical balance. And that's again why these companies specialize in putting together the right balance for the different types of sweat that you the way you sweat. Everybody sweats differently. So yeah, that is not the end all be all. There's a lot that goes into it. It can have to do with, again, what we've talked about, what you ate that week, how you ate that week, miles. Miles is a big one. If you're not putting in the miles, that is a big reason why you will cramp later in a race. For me, like last year when I did the Mummy, and we talked about this for a while with Terrence, I had to sit there after that race because of cramping. And it was more because I had not done the trail miles to have the lateral strength of back and forth because of that type of race.
Wasn't somebody trying like, hey, we're going down by the river? It's like, I'm not going anywhere. Or somebody was.
Well, I wanted to leave and I couldn't. I mean, I literally couldn't. I couldn't get up. I was sitting there, and you know what? Is that the cherry picker where you stretch your legs? And the insides of they were just locked up, and I could not get them to unlock. It was miserable, but that was not because of potassium.
So you better start training now if you're going to run that race.
I know. It's getting time, isn't it? Weather's shifting though, so
it was nice out today.
Yeah, I might. I was talking to somebody. I was talking
indoor golfing.
Well, I know, but I'm in a league, and I got to get in my round at some point. I had a busy week this week, so I couldn't get it in. So I'm on hole 12 or something. So we'll see. I'll get that done, and I don't know. The weather is shifting. I was actually talking to somebody about the Mummy recently. I said, hey, you should come do the Mummy with me. Do the half. Because we're talking about doing the half instead. Because I would like to go do it again. So we'll see. All that to say, I have time, but I do need to get going.
Yeah, that one's fun. So you can sign up the day of and just pay cash, right?
Yeah, like $35.
That's
so
cheap.
That's for the marathon. What's the half? Like 25?
No, it's more than that. I think the marathon is more than that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it seems like because it's T-Rex is pretty cheap.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking T-Rex.
T-Rex
then,
is
because
super cheap.
I went and did that with you, right?
Yeah, T-Rex too. Yeah, so they're both.
Well, you can't look it up either. I was going to look it up.
Their website is horrible.
Do they actually have a website?
They do, and it's like it is so outdated.
I was going to look up the
because you can't even register online. Like you have to send them a check.
What is it? Old Farts?
Yeah,
that's what it is. Look up Old Farts. Careful, Old Farts Running Club. Is that what it is? Yeah, there it is. And you will find information about the Mummy. I was hoping to see a sign-up sheet because it's usually pretty high up. Oh, there it is. Oh, you're right. It is more than I thought. 75 for the full, 40 for the half.
Yeah, but 75 if you mail a check in. If you pay the day of, it's a lot more.
It is?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lot more. I don't think it's a lot more. I could be wrong about that too. But because I said, screw it, I'm just going to do it the day of. No, it's $30 ahead of time, $60 ahead of time. That's the day of pricing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you mail in, you can literally pull up the...
And if you do that race, you definitely have to carry because they don't have a lot of water stops.
Yeah, they do not. And you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're out in the middle of the woods most of the time. So
definitely run with a pack. Don't expect to.
Yeah. But anyway, those are some running myths. If you're looking to start a training plan to either run a marathon or get ready for just some longer distance running, don't let those myths scare you away.
But be consistent.
Consistency is key. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Even if you say to yourself, the training plan calls for 7 miles every Wednesday and I only have time for 5 or 4, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. That is 100% fine. Do not worry about those. Don't do that with every run. But don't let those myths scare you away. And I think that's it.
I think so.
That's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.